The storm desk. Read the storm. Book the roofs. You saw the headline. El Nino. Big winter. Your inbox has 3 vendors telling you to print door hangers before the rain hits. And you're standing there wondering if it's real, what it changes for your schedule, and whether half your marketing copy just went stale overnight. By the end of this, you'll know how to read the El Nino signal like an operator, what the 2026 status really says, what it changes for your fall, and the one line you never let a salesperson cross. A forecast is a season-level tilt. It is not a verdict on one roof. Start with the word on the page, because the word changed. NOAA runs a tiered alert. A watch means conditions favor El Nino developing in the next few months. An advisory means it's here and expected to continue. Through the spring of 2026, the live status was a watch, the Pacific reading neutral. As of the Climate Prediction Center discussion dated June 11th, that flipped. El Nino conditions are present. NOAA issued an advisory. So if your website still says NOAA is watching for possible development, that copy is a month out of date, and a homeowner can check it in 10 seconds. Now the number everyone wants to oversell. Forecasters put the odds of a very strong event near 63% during the November through January window. 63%. That's high, and it's still a probability, not a promise. Strong is the odds-on bet here. It is not the called shot. It raises the chance of a wet, stormy southern winter. It does not lock it in for your city, and it says nothing about the house in front of you. Plan hard. Speak about it as odds. Here's the cautionary tale that keeps your copy honest. 2015 to 16. The Pacific ran every bit as warm as the legendary winters, 97, 98. Everyone expected a drought-busting deluge in California. It largely didn't arrive. Statewide rain came in below the prior strong events, and parts of the state stayed dry while the ocean signal screamed strong. The lesson isn't that the forecast is junk. The lesson is altitude. A strong ocean reading raises the odds of a wet winter. It never guarantees the local outcome. So the forecast is the same nationwide. The right response is local. A warmer tropical Pacific shifts the jet stream, the high-altitude wind river that steers storms, south across the country. The Gulf Coast, Texas to Florida, is the most reliable signal, wetter than average in more than 80% of El Nino events over the past century. The Southeast trends wetter and stormier. California and the Southwest get the reliable wet tilt mainly in the strongest events, which is why this year's strength odds matter out west. The Northern Tier rides milder and drier. 1 advisory. Different plans by zip. If you work the southern storm track, a wet winter doesn't invent new roof problems. It finds the old ones faster, on more houses at once. The first failure mode is wind-driven rain. Rain pushed sideways into places a roof was never built to drain. It starts at the edges, not the open field. Step flashing at sidewalls and chimneys. Valley metal. Cracked pipe boots that hardened in the sun. Drip edge at the eaves, where uplift gets under the first row. A roof held together by caulk instead of flashing fails in the first hard storm. Document those with dated photos now. Now flip north, because that's where most operators misread the signal. A milder, drier tilt is not a dead season. It's a production window, time to clear your re-roof backlog while the storm track sits south of you. But mild isn't warm. The north still gets cold snaps, and ice dams don't need a brutal winter. An ice dam is a ridge of ice at the eave that blocks meltwater from draining. The cause isn't the weather. It's heat leaking from the house into the attic, so lead with ventilation and air sealing checks. Fix the cause, not the icicle. If you're installing through a wet, cold winter, the warranty is on the line. Asphalt shingles seal with heat-activated strips. In the cold, those strips may not bond until it warms, leaving the shingle open to wind uplift. Manufacturers commonly call for hand sealing each shingle with roofing cement on cold installs. Shingles also turn brittle and crack when bent. And self-adhered underlayment may not stick to a cold or damp deck. Follow the cold weather instructions or you void the warranty. Sometimes the honest call is to dry in and finish on a better day. And demand is never a reason to put a crew on an unsafe roof. Wet, mossy, frosted, and icy surfaces are among the most common causes of falls, and a ringing phone doesn't change the physics. OSHA's fall protection rules apply no matter how urgent the job feels. Anchorage, harnesses, and the judgment to call conditions unworkable. Give your foreman explicit authority to stand a job down. The cleanest winter is one where the only thing wrecked is the roof, not a roofer. A wet year is also the right time to sell resilience, because the evidence is strong and the upgrade is cheap against the damage. The single most effective measure is a sealed roof deck, a fully adhered underlayment or taped deck seams under the covering. The Insurance Institute for Business and Home Safety reports a sealed deck cuts the water entering a home by up to 95% when the covering is damaged or blown off. That's the difference between losing a few shingles and losing the ceilings. Frame it straight. It isn't a leak guarantee, it's a sharp cut in how bad a leak gets. Here's the line, and it is not subtle. El Nino is a credibility builder at the door. It becomes a liability the second it turns into a diagnosis. Never say a super El Nino will damage roofs in your market. Never tell a homeowner their leak was caused by El Nino. A seasonal pattern is not a cause for one roof, and that claim invites a fight you lose with any adjuster. Say instead, NOAA issued an advisory and expects a stronger storm pattern, so we're getting crews and materials ready early. That's honest, and it ages well. And keep your hands off the claim. A stormy winter pulls insurance into nearly every conversation, and it's where roofers talk themselves into trouble. You document conditions. You do not decide coverage. Whether a loss is covered, how it's valued, and what's owed are for the policyholder, the insurer, and a licensed adjuster. The day you start negotiating the claim, you're an unlicensed public adjuster. So build a clean dated record instead. Storm dates, photos before and after any tarp, roof age, and prior leak history. The record helps the homeowner. It protects you. Now the habit that makes the rest work. Read the forecast yourself. The Climate Prediction Center publishes the ENSO discussion once a month. Same shape every time. Assign one person to read it. Pull 4 lines, the alert tier, the Nino 3.4 sea surface number, the one-sentence synopsis, and the probability table. Drop them into a one-page memo. When the status moves, the memo moves first, and your public copy moves from the memo. That's how a June ad stops repeating May language. And only a local National Weather Service forecast releases a job, never the seasonal outlook. Here's where Roof Predict fits and where it doesn't. The advisory gives you lead time. Use it to target homes that are genuinely due, not to blast fear ads. Roof Predict pairs an estimated roof age range with storm physics modeled per individual home, so your fall outreach goes to the older roofs in a wet trending area and skips the brand new ones. It does not inspect, diagnose damage, predict the weather, or decide coverage. Roof age is a range for planning, not a date. The list sharpens the route. The inspection earns the sale. Close the loop. El Nino moved from a watch to an advisory, with strong odds of a wet, stormy southern winter and a milder north. That's lead time, not a sales hook. Update stale copy this week. Stage crews, materials, and wet and cold workflows before October, tuned to your region. Sell the sealed deck. Talk about the season as odds, never as proof on one roof. Document conditions and let the insurer decide coverage. The vendor prints the door hanger. You book the roofs that are actually due.